You do too much, creates confusion. Confusion, frankly, short circuits Google, and then Google does whatever it wants. Good morning. It's a cold, snowy day here in Denver, Colorado. And if anyone's been watching the news, we are just getting hammered with snow. I was sitting around and I got to thinking, right? We're coming up on holiday. We're almost right in the thick of it. And I was, sitting on a call with a client the other day, and they were asking me the most important things to think about as you go into holiday from an e-commerce perspective. And I thought this might be a good time to really talk about where you can drive e-commerce revenue and not just within holiday, but to make things are aligned and ready for holiday. And as let's look at the structure of your I would call it your standard e-commerce website. Right, obviously you've got your main homepage. Then you get to what a lot of people call a super category. Underneath that usually sits a category. Then you get a subcategory, and then you get an index, right? And then comes the PDPs, right? The product detail pages. And as you start to look at where you're going to really drive incrementality during holiday, and frankly, even past holiday, most people want to focus on those product detail pages. And from an SEO perspective, you pretty much have your product name ranking. I think there are elements that you could add that can help bolster the conversion rate of the page or bolster the impressions as you start to add different types of content like video or audio, different aspects of the product, labeling those images on there different so as people do image searches, they can, I want to look at a front view, I want to look at a back view, I want to look at a side view. But really, as you start to look and get ready for a holiday, focus on what's above you, because that's usually where you're going to run into challenges. If we talk about, the homepage, right, ranks for e-commerce shop. Let's say this e-commerce shop is a fishing e-commerce store. You sell all kinds of fishing things, from rods to lures, right? You've got your main category that says fishing, right? That's going to be your super category. Then you may have a category called trout fishing, right? And you want to be ranking and be visible for like things having to do with trout fishing. Underneath that would be a category: fishing rods, fishing reels, different things, talking about holistically, hey, look, we have a lot of different reels that are there. We have spin cast, we have bait cast, we have fly, we have all these different types of reels and or rods. We have long rods, we have short rods, we have 4-weight rods, 3-weight rods. As you start to get deeper, and then you get into that, what we would call a subcategory is now like we'll take spin casting reels as the example. Then you get into the index. The index is all of those spin casting reels. So when you start to think during holiday, are people really looking for a specific product? I want the, Shimano XTR 1234 model. Probably not, because it's other people purchasing for them. So product detail pages is a good place to see movement. It might not provide you the incrementality that you're looking for. Move up a couple levels. Look at the index. Get into the competition where people are looking for gifts. They know that their husband or son or uncle or grandfather or mother, maybe mom's a fisherman too, or grandma's a fisher woman. Where would you go in and start looking for those gifts? You're going to be in that upper end. You're going to be looking for fishing reels. Then you're going to get a little bit of education about what types of fishing reels, because you can't go ask them, right? You can't be like, so what type of fishing reel do you like, right? So how do you use search to shop for that person? So you may come in and say, I'm looking for, fishing reels, right? At that category level. Then you're going to see all these different options. So bolster the content and the navigation ability on that so that Google knows that you are not just a Shimano XTR 1234 e-commerce shop, but you have more to offer. And content will help bring that into play. Another thing you'll want to start adding is like a lot of the product schema, category schema, breadcrumb schema, right? Down into some of these tactics. Give Google, right? Just like the Roadrunner, what would Wile E. Coyote do for the Roadrunner? He'd lay some breadcrumbs. Roadrunner would follow, and then fall off the cliff. Now, obviously, we don't want you guys falling off the cliff, but the concept still remains true for Google. You need to leave breadcrumbs for the user and Google to track along so they know where they came from, where they ended up, and what that path was. That is how Google determines relevancy. And they see that you've got great quality content, telling them about all the different fishing reels that you have, what the difference between a spin cast and a bait cast is. What do you fish for bait casting, right? How does that weave in? That weaves in from your conversational side, right? The age old 3 to 5 keywords. Don't try to put too much on those pages, because then what you're going to do is you're just going to confuse Google, and they don't know if you're providing them Q&A or if you're navigating them to the products in which you seek. So you leverage your conversational, your blog, your other experiences outside of that page, because once again, you got still the 3 to 5 keywords. You do too much, creates confusion. Confusion, frankly, short circuits Google, and then Google does whatever it wants. That's kind of how that works. Add that content ancillary, internal linking. Show Google association with the product to a conversational tone. Something that's just talking to them about the difference between a bait caster and a spin cast. Right? They're different, drastically different. One uses a thumb, one uses a finger, right? Even just down to the mechanics. But more importantly, you don't typically use a bait cast to go fish for trout in a river in the mountains. Now, you might be able to use a spin cast on a lake down in Nashville or Georgia or Texas or wherever it is you're from, where those are typically used. So focus on that upper side. Build that authority at the top level. Let that trickle down, just like pouring champagne into the flute, and it all trickles down. That will occur. So something to consider as you go into holiday.